Okay. So, yo, all right. So, I'm going to do a little speech in here. Que se te fue in English. Okay. So, um, oh yeah, I'm just going to turn off the light here. So, you guys going to get to listen to the words. So, because it's kind of heavy stuff. So, I've been kind of trying to read the signs and all that, right? And you know, people want to know, did anything like happen to you that hurt you as a kid? Were you you know, offended or something like that by some afraid of nothing. I'm afraid of some reality that. And so yes, but you gotta understand it's extremely heavy stuff. It's like, Thor's hammer, as they say, listening to the radio. Thor's, it's like anti-matter. It's like emotional. So basically, if someone is like a ghost, but they do not look like a ghost, they do not behave like a ghost, and that person is quite heavy if they feel like a ghost. It's mythology almost, but what we don't have in mythology are the two worlds, the Atlantic and the Pacific. And so I discovered this element growing up in the Pacific, the North Pacific, not Australia, California, New Spain. There's which is closer to Asia, East Asia. Not so there's two and a half worlds. There's the Pacific. There's the Atlantic, the Pacific, and sort of the Indian Persian. So like Persia almost blends in there, but Singapore. But okay, so I had this. I noticed this this element that you could basically, for the love of peace and lightness and like flying, escaping the heaviness that you don't even want to. You're better off to like try and start a fight and act like some jerk than take things seriously about this, because so basically I noticed this element that's very, very real, and I basically call it the net or a net, like a safety net, just very simple name, just a coincidental acronym that you can't, thinking about it is, you cannot hold that much weight, that the scales, the values are ambiguified. You look at something and say, oh, that's a puny little thing, but it's really quite heavy to the emotions of the globe, because you have unbalanced, basically, values on sort of scales, and so it's extremely, extremely important. It's like it steals your face and sort of your ability to sort of react in a sort of defensive way, self-preservation. So this is like totally missing from me. Okay, so and so I saw this. Okay, so if you need a case study, the classic one. You hate to hear this grunge music on the radio, but that's what sort of disvalued sort of thing is. Seeing someone who's waxed like a ghost, who like pretends like they're not there, because they wish they weren't. Like Kurt Cobain. Okay, so this is one of these. If you read biographies and use the scientific method, geography, all this stuff, you'll see just this heavy duty stuff, and you're like sort of going, oh, well, maybe it's not real, or maybe this person is like a fake, and this is why we cannot think about it. It cannot exist because it crushes the world's balance. And whatever language, whatever dialect you're speaking, whatever sort of tone you have to take, this is hell on the world. And heaven is possible. Angels fly to heaven, right? And doo-doo sinks down or something like that. But this is a case where it's truly, positively, quantitatively needed a crane to grab these people. They are stuck in limbo. So you are basically, you're like reaching out there and you're grabbing them, and it's like a straight arm thing. You're not, you cannot think about it. You cannot like start flexing your elbow and get all fancy and stuff like that. So, ooh, I'm smart, like, because that's, it's like, you're crushing, you're like going, you can drive the world crazy when it should be defensive. It should be self-respecting and the value of society is balanced with this net. So I wish it totally, basically, okay, on the crane, it's doing this automatically. It's like literally like a cross. You think like the Christian sort of cross thing. Well, that's what you're basically using, something that is totally mechanical from societal, political, geographic. It's very mixed up. It's sort of like this mesh, this high-grade filter that, again, to think about it, it would drive you crazy. But basically, imagine you got a cross, it reaches out there, it grabs, and then it just moves it automatically. And there's actually two different cases, and to think about them both at the same time, make you twice as crazy, okay? So it's just utterly important that it happens, and I don't think we love ourselves enough to want to solve this problem. We find some geographic sort of, pitfall, and someone's stuck there, and we think, oh, isn't this cool? Let's glamorize this, and it's really it's a slippery slope that crazy. I mean, it's statistical reality, so it's not a political. It's only a geographical, statistical reality, and you can't make a political game out of it, because you're not going to create a winner. You're just going to create a stronger loser. Okay, so that means everyone would be like a stronger loser, like a more undesirable sort of environment. Okay. So, I did not want to be in California, Seattle, it's on the left-hand side of America. Okay, so that's the left-hand side of America, not the right hand, because the right hand has sort of a right-wing sort of reaction, self-defense, and that's ugly. I talk a lot about history, and it is ugly. Okay, you're gonna end up like going through life laughing or crying. Jesus. And that's like like, all right, next, Jesus, crucifying sort of the world. So okay, so the fine points are that basically family is the killer here. Now, there's a lot of famous case studies. So you probably saw Avatar, right? The movie Avatar. Well, the producer, he kind of looks at that case study, sort of ambidextrous, but you can see in a person's sort of body language. But if you move someplace that, it's just all about this age-specific stuff. I write quite a bit about this. It's so heavy that I try not to I try to make I just try to make poetry out of it because it's very, if you find some unobtainium, that, and you're like, sort of like you're it's basically this thing that you cannot think about a net. The net is like, it could catch, if it's like a strip mining type of language or something like that. A net that's highly filtered, highly specialized. You go, oh, so you're specializing now. It's a complete sweet conspiracy, and unescapable. Okay, unescapable. So it's like, and so I kind of, when I go outside, I start thinking and stuff like that, and I say, okay. You think and you think and you think, and I don't know. So that's really the gist of it. It is a nothing. It's just sort of it's sort of like the sound of silence type of thing. But you have to take it really seriously and yet not see it at all. Because if you see it, you're going crazy, and that's like, no one can escape that. They're not programmed to deal with the great divide. Okay, it's just not part of our programming. It's just not. Maybe in a couple hundred years, maybe in like 500 years, we'll all be similar. But this is not likely, okay? It's just not that. I mean, you could say, oh, there's a primitive element. But it's a long way to the bottom of that one. A long, long way. So and history has shifted, the last 500 years. All this stuff. And you want to have balance. That's all you want, to have balance in the whole world. And so that's what the net does this. It's sort of this dynamic filter. What's it called? Normal. So you have to like do it. You can't think about it. You can't wait for some terrorist reaction to inaction. So you have to, I don't know, it's really, really, really complex. But basically, I found that people who look a bit like me, Northern European, Western European, who grew up on the West Coast, on the left-hand side of California, okay, on the left-hand side, it's very analogous, like the East Coast. But these specific histories, highly quantified yet always unique. I mean, you're always, you're not going to have. It's so rare. Kurt Cobain is very rare. Jimi Hendrix, and not even. It's a sweet conspiracy that's it's part of America's power, but it's also the imbalance on the global sort of reaction. So it's very, very important. I mean, you cannot even fathom how. We should not think about it, but it's very important, and it causes me to think constantly, and rethinking. So yeah, and I wish I had some notes to show you here. Maybe it's just kind of piling up all the notes. I think I already. So here's an example. What is this? Solving the problem that shouldn't exist. A.N.N.Y.T, normative youth transplant, or N.E.T, I like to say, because the truth is golden. Solving the problems that shouldn't exist, that's priceless. It's beyond golden. It's unobtainium. And so you have to have have to have a fundamental rethinking, you know, it's that sort of racing to the bottom type thing, you know, everyone's going to the top and stuff like that, but this, it's, takes a lot of history and conviction and energy, and just to keep things balanced. That's really what it's about. To, you know, fight the war on drugs and poverty, and end sort of unbalance. It's just it's very it's think about Bill Gates, you know, why is he grew up on the West Coast, you know. So there's all, if you look at the biographies and stuff like that, you'll see the stuff, and eventually you'll just like start laughing at everything. So it's because yeah, there's a missing link, and it's really it's like it's a giant nothing. They can it's just the impossible. It's solving the impossible by not thinking about it but doing it. So it's, I guess. Okay, so, right, thank you. And I have a clue where I'm going, but I'm trying to tread lightly and not even, I mean, if I had a clue, I'd melt it down and make an anchor out of it. Okay, so that's my sort of foolish logic. I'm kind of like, you know, if I had a clue, you know, type of that's what I do. I melt it down. Be like, yeah, clue. Okay, so thank you.